Now that the DJI O4 Air unit is finally here, people are asking, which is better, DJI or Walksnail? And there's two big comparisons people are most curious about. The first is whether the Walksnail GT2 video transmitter with up to 2 watts of output power can beat the DJI O4, which only goes up to 1200 milliwatts of output power. Can Walksnail make up with raw power versus DJI's engineering prowess? And the other question people are having is, how does the 1S Walksnail video transmitter stack up to the DJI O4 Lite? They're both going to go in similar types of quads. Can it hold its own? We're going to answer those questions today. I've done some flight tests of these DJI O4 Pro, DJI GT2, O4 Lite, and the Walksnail 1S video transmitter, and we're just going to look at them, and you're going to see. Spoiler, DJI is really good. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. All right, let's do some range tests of these systems. We've got the O4 Pro, we've got the O4 Lite, we've got the Walksnail 1S, we've got the Walksnail regular, and we've got the Walksnail GT 2-watt. We're going to run my standard, not a range test, and see how the results go. Oh, I have no up tilt. Cool. I took straight the fuck off, straight up. First we'll fly this again. We're just going to repeat this test because it's a new day and just in the interest of, I don't know, science, whatever you want to call it, just getting more data. We're going to repeat this test even though nothing really should have changed about the results for the O4. This is not new data, it's just a repeat of additional data under different conditions. Now it's time to start testing the Walksnail system, and we're going to start with the Walksnail GT. That is the 2-watt video transmitter. It's the best Walksnail has to offer in terms of pure range and penetration. And I had some debate about what antennas to run on the Walksnail Goggles X, because my normal approach is to test things, at least at first, to test them in the condition that the factory delivers them. And the Walksnail Goggles X come with low-gain omnidirectional antennas, which are going to give much worse results and which pretty much nobody's actually using. So I'm going to put some higher gain antennas on here. These are, well, you probably don't know what these are. They're not ones that many people are using, but I had them. They fit the goggles. They have a good gain pattern, and they're going to give us what I think is more reflective results of the real world. Why am I not putting high gain antennas on the G3? Well, because the G3 doesn't, the antennas are not removable, and most people aren't running it that way. So I'm trying to run these tests in a way that reflects the way they're being used, gives a fair shake to everybody. Let's do it. In keeping with that, I am running the Walksnail system at 720p, not 1080p. It can run at 1080p, but I think the range gets lower and the bit rate is not quite up to, I think the results are worse at 1080p, and I think most people are running it at 720p. So, you know, you could argue, but that's what we're gonna do. And the first test, when we go behind the house here, do we see a drop? Oh, we see a big drop. Now, to be fair, I'm facing this direction pretty much exactly. I'm gonna just do this a couple times because this is the first time we've done this. Yeah, big drop down to 25 megabits per second, 29 megabits per second. Okay. And I'm pretty sure we're just gonna hold 60 megabits per second the whole effing way down. Yep, rock solid 60. Continuing along, we're back up to 50. A little drop there, not much though. Oh, wow. Oh, very smeary image. The image detail is much worse. Sheesh. Granted, the lighting has changed, but we're just seeing a lot of smearing around the sides. Okay, turn my head towards the quadcopter so the antennas get to do their work, and I'm going to fly as low as I can along the road. Still fucking rock solid. Jesus, this thing is so fucking good. I can't believe it's holding 60 megabits per second through here. So interestingly, we are still getting 50 megabits per second. But the actual quality of the image, there's this kind of like smoky smeariness in the road. And we're dropping to 25 already, seeing drops in bitrate, back up to 50. Okay, coming through here. Get as low as I can. Oh, big drops, big drops. Bitrate is 2.1. Bitrate is all over the place. Stuttery image. It's bad. It's very bad. Let's see if we can get out of it. I can't believe it. It's insane. Now it dropped, but it dropped to fucking 30, 20. It's so damn good. Oh, tap, little tappy tap there. By accident, just trying to fly as low as I can, right? It's so good. I can't believe it's holding. Oof. Oh, it is just all over the place. That's... Okay, so... And I feel like we've really answered this question. Shit. Oh. Okay. Oh. Am I gonna get it back? Okay, let's see if I can get it back. I've figured out. I got video back. Come on, arm baby. Get in the air. Yes. Okay. Well, that's a result. Here it's starting to drop. It's still fine. It's still fine. We're getting little RX losses. I don't want to fail safe. I gotta climb out. I gotta hold this up in the air. Can I get lower? Okay, that's like just the end. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try and hold here and see. We got 12 megabits per second, 12, 13, 10, 9, right? Okay, and we're coming home. Insane. It's freaking insane how good it is. Now we're going to do the O4 Lite, and there's something about the setup of the test that made me get less range in the previous test than I will in this test. And that is that I was on channel 3. I was on the highest channel, and I do that so that my Wi-Fi network doesn't affect the test. But Chris Rosser discovered that the O4 Lite puts out significantly less power on the lowest and the highest channels than it does on the middle channels. This is something he thinks DJI may be able to fix in a firmware update, but for now, we're going to run this on channel 2, the middle channel, and we should get more range than we did in the previous test. There's too much up tilt. I cannot see to save my fucking life, and my battery's dying. This is unacceptable. I need less up tilt. I cannot fly like this. I can't see to land. Jesus Christ. Okay, that's gonna be usable, I guess. Barely. And if we were to compare the O4 Lite to the O4 Pro side by side, we ought to see that the O4 Pro looks a little bit better. It's got a bigger sensor, bigger lens, and so forth. And it's got more output power. But wow, the O4 Lite still does a shockingly good job. It holds its bitrate really well through here. The image, the color, everything looks really good. We're even using the standard color profile. We're not even using the log or flat color profile, which would let us color grade and maybe potentially make the image look even better. So full 60 megabits per second all the way around, no problem here. But what about the 1S Walksnail VTX? And I have to apologize here. First of all, there's no voiceover for this one. I'm just going to record the voiceover. And number two, if you look in the lower left corner of the screen, there's no megabit per second readout. And as near as I can tell, Walksnail changed the format of their subtitle file that includes that information to not include that information anymore. Like the subtitles are completely unrecognizable between the files I recorded on this day with the 1S and the GT and the files I recorded on a previous day. I don't know. I've got a support request into Walksnail. So we just don't have that information We'll just have to look at the image. I can tell you though, the 1S VTX at 500 milliwatts did not hold 50 megabits per second coming through here. We're also struggling with the Express LRS receiver. This is an EP2 receiver with a ceramic antenna, and it does not have great range, sadly. So we're gonna make the best of the situation though. And like the image quality here, I mean, there's no comparison, right? Like, it's just a completely different animal than the O4 Lite. There's no comparison. Like, I'm not a DJI hater or shill, or I just... Okay, what about the street test? And unfortunately, that Express LRS EP2 receiver is going to continue to haunt us through this other test. But again, we'll do the best we can. Here's the O4 Lite going down the road, hanging in at 60 megabits per second. It starts dropping out earlier than the O4 Pro, which has more output power and dual antennas, but it still presents a pretty good looking frickin' image as we come up and around this corner. Here's the beginning of the RX losses. I'm just gonna keep pushing through to try to get the frickin' test results that we need. Now we're down at 9 or 10 megabits per second, which again, not as good as the O4 Pro, but well, the Walksnail one doesn't do as good. I don't want to spoil the results, but it doesn't. So here's where we first start seeing real sort of breakup. It starts getting, I mean, I say it's breaking up, but honestly, it still was pretty flyable, except that I was fail-safing the control link. It was still pretty flyable, even when it was getting down to 3 or 4 megabits per second. Even though it got kind of blocky, it still was relatively smooth in terms of its frame rate. And that's something brand new to the O4 that I haven't seen before. One of the things I like least about the Walksnail system, and we see it here, is this sort of wind blowing across the frame effect that happens when it starts to break up. It creates motion in the frame that doesn't correspond to real world motion. Now it's getting real bad. I would rather see static blobs or blur. I would rather not see, oh God, we're fail-safing. It's getting so bad. I have to punch out. That was it. It didn't make it around the turn, and it was about to fail safe, so I just turned around. The way that it breaks up is really sort of not ideal, and it just doesn't hold usable image as long, period. There are lots of reasons why somebody might choose Walksnail over DJI, but increasingly, those reasons don't have anything to do with the image quality, range, and penetration. Back when there was the Caddx Vista as DJI's leading video transmitter, Walksnail kind of like came close, and with the O3, DJI took a leap ahead, and Walksnail kind of tried to catch up, and with the O4, DJI has just completely eclipsed them. And as a reviewer who tries to stay kind of balanced and objective, it hurts me a little bit to say that, but also I just have to tell the truth. And no matter how you run the tests, the O4 just crushes Walksnail in terms of image quality. The image just looks so much better. The way it handles the compression is so much better. The camera is so much better. And range, it holds bitrate longer. It provides, no matter how you look at it, numerically or just by looking with your eyes at the image, it provides a usable image further, much further. And so, the question I think you got to be asking yourself right now is what you see from Walksnail good enough to make you choose Walksnail because of the other reasons why you don't like DJI? And I'm not like going to gloss over those reasons. There are political, sort of social reasons why you might not like DJI as a company, why you might want to choose, well, I was going to say choose a company that's not based in China, but Walksnail's also based in China, so forget that. There are like DJI's sort of planned obsolescence, where every 4 or 5 years you lose access to the next generation of hardware, and you basically have to upgrade or just keep using what you're using, but you're not going to be, on the sort of upgrade train. Well, Walksnail is about in their like 5th year, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what year they first came out, but I think they're about 5 years in, and that's a typical lifespan for a DJI product before it becomes incompatible with previous generations. So Walksnail would have to release another generation for them to then convince us about compatibility, which they haven't done. They said they were going to do it in August, and the new Walksnail generation was going to be incompatible with the V1 Walksnail goggles, just like the O4 is not compatible with the V2 DJI goggles. So this but they didn't even release that product. So anyway, I'm not even sure DJI has the advantage over Walksnail in terms of planned obsolescence, but be that as it may. There are lots of reasons why you might shy away from DJI. And what you get from Walksnail, if DJI didn't exist, would be totally viable. Like, I would be happy, and you sort of bring in your expectations to fit the bounds of what the technology offers you. And Walksnail does offer a very usable, very competent system. It's just that then you look at the DJI and you go, geez, it could be so much better. And I think you really have to ask yourself. And I don't pretend to know that answer for you. That's why I give you the data and I let you decide. And if you value the fact that I give you the data and let you decide, then I would like to encourage you to join my Patreon. I got to pay the bills every month, and YouTube income kind of goes up and down, comes and goes. But Patreon is a way that you can promise me that you'll give me $2 a month. You could give me more, but the minimum subscription is $2 a month. You sign up on Patreon, and then you can feel good knowing that you're supporting the work that I do here. It's a tiny amount of money, but it does add up, and it really means a lot, even if you subscribe only at that minimum level. There's a link in the video description below, and if you feel like I've earned $2 a month from you for all the content I make, then by all means go subscribe. And if you don't feel like I'm worth $2 a month, hey, like lots of people ask me to join their Patreon, and I blow most of them off. And if today I'm the guy you blow off, no hard feelings. I'm just going to keep making the content and keep trying to earn it. But if today's the day I earned it, links down below. I'll see you there. Oh, and watch more of my content. There's an O4 playlist with a lot of other O4 testing. Low light testing. Is Walksnail better in the low light compared to the O3 or the O4? The O4 Lite, how much better or worse is it? Low light testing. And the entire DJI O4 playlist with any other O4 content I make. I'll see you there.